Falls, and I work for the Athens Institute for Education and Research, which is a World Association for Academics and Researchers. I'd like to welcome you to the Atner's interview series, where we interview the participants that attend their many conferences in Athens present their work. Today I'm going to be interviewing Dr. Chris Underation, who is an associate professor at Liberty University, USA. Hello, Dr.
Hi.
Welcome to Athens.
Thanks. Love Athens.
Yeah? So it's your first time here?
No, actually my second.
Okay, nice. So I would like to ask you to give us a brief academic introduction of yourself.
Yeah, I have a couple of master's degrees. I have one in an academic field of study, and I have one in a religious field of study. And I have a PhD from Regent University in the United States. And my professional background, all of that, is filled in with about 20 years worth of actual experience in the media.
Okay, so what kind of experience?
Radio, which I did for about 7 or 8 years. And then toward the end of that, I moved into journalism and did print journalism. And then I moved into advertising and public relations. So I've sort of moved through, yes.
Okay.
And probably because I get bored, I don't sit still very well.
That's good, not bad. So what's your current major area of research?
Right now, I'm focusing a lot on literacy as an area, and by that, that's literacy in all senses of the word. It's actual reading literacy, but it's also media literacy as well, helping people understand what the media is and does and its effects on individuals and people. So that's primarily where I'm at now.
Interesting. So what did you present at the conference?
In this conference, I presented a paper about negative political ads. People say they hate them. They are divisive. The research supposedly shows that it demobilizes voters in democratic nations where they go to the polls and select their leaders. And there are a lot of bad effects that come from negative ads. But the one thing is that when you look at actual election results, people say that negative ads seem to be the most informative and the most persuasive. So people say they hate them, but they respond to them. And my paper explained the divide here. Why do people say they hate them, but why do people respond so favorably to them when they're used?
Okay, so why do they respond? Why are they effective?
They're effective because people are thinking, generally, I like the story of the candidate. We all within us have certain preferences, politically speaking. We're either left, center, right. We're either, pro-economy, low tax, or we want government to step in and do a lot of things. And whatever those things are, candidates tell stories that resonate within people. And when a candidate connects in that way, what ends up happening is that even if someone in their mind will say, I don't like this candidate, or I don't really like what they stand for, but the policies and the feelings that they're evoking tend to be more powerful than our thoughts, our rational thoughts.
Okay.
So people get connected to candidates and they get carried away by story, which you can see in things like Brexit. This year, their whole tagline was "Take back control." What does that mean? Well, we're taking back control. Well, specifically how? Well, they never say how. It's up to you as an individual to, I want control and I will take that control. I'm not quite sure what it looks like, but I like the idea. So people who are on the fence, who could have maybe gone either way,
they go towards the negative.
They go toward the I want control, and they were won over by that, and maybe they voted to leave. Whereas people who would be stronger Remain people in the EU, those ads had no effect on them because they had already decided that ad is incredible to me. So that's how it works, and it does actually persuade people. It doesn't trick them. And what I argued in my paper is that it actually reflects what actually exists within the souls and the hearts of individuals and nations. So when a candidate who's unexpected wins, the country actually is moving that way. It is an actual thing. It's not a trick, and it's not really an aberration. It's true at that moment in time.
Okay. So you also came to the conference last year, correct?
Yes.
So what made you return, and how would you introduce in general to Atner?
Okay, that's okay. I was introduced to Atner by being invited to come. Apparently, some other pieces that I had written had come under the eye of somebody who sent me an email and said, you might consider this conference. And frankly, I'm from the United States, and I've done a lot of United States conferences, and I think I'd like to go to an international conference and see how they go. So I came last year and loved it. And I just thought it was great. It was everything that I would like an international conference to be. It's a nice mix of international scholars talking about things that I talk about, except they're talking about it from a different cultural, maybe political context. And it's interesting to me how we're dealing with the same questions, although our approaches to answering these might be different. So that's how I got to be known, or got to know Atner, and I loved it. So then I came back this year. Last year I presented a paper about literacy, just straightforward literacy. So at the conference, and I enjoyed that too, because that brought on a lot of discussion with a lot of academics here who are dealing with students who are, how do I put it, they're being taken in by the digital realm. They're in their phones all the time and all that.
Yeah.
So what I argued in that paper was what we're doing is we moved from a straight oral culture centuries and centuries and millennia ago to a literate culture, and now we're sort of coming back in between oral and literate culture. So our teaching and the way that we think about things should change as a result. So we like to collaborate. We like to put ideas out there for people to respond to, and then we craft something out of it, all hallmarks of oral literacy. But we also have the fact that we now read everything too on our phones, so we've got literate culture together, so that was the idea.
Okay, well thank you very much.
Thank you very much.